Last year,
It's happened!
they went and took it.
He struck him out looking!
This year,
The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
they're here to run it back.
It's over!
This is Bleav in Texas Rangers, hosted by Mitch Ferreldis.
Hello, Win Column. Very good to see you. Welcome into another edition of Bleav in Texas Rangers. Be sure to like, subscribe, download, rate 5 stars, and you can also watch every episode if you're listening on YouTube. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts, primarily Apple, Spotify, or just go to the Bleav.com website and look for Bleav in Texas Rangers. So we are coming to you just after about a couple hours or about 1 hour after the Rangers wrapped up their series in Kansas City, and there was a bunch of misspeaking that I did at the end of the last episode of saying 4-game series. In my mind, I thought I was recording on a Thursday. No, I was recording on a Friday. This was the last game of this 3-game series. But most importantly, let's not bury the lead, the Rangers won the series. They've also won their 3rd consecutive series, especially given how rough that 17 games in 17 days gauntlet was. This is very refreshing to have this team scrape out, literally in this sense, another series win. And sticking with the Sunday contest, today's contest, it would have been a very rough way to get this road trip started if they had lost today. And they were very much in a position to have lost today. And you could kind of feel that the offense was going to be struggle busing just based off of the first inning alone. So Daniel Lynch was the starter today for the Royals. And in the opening inning, I forget what the exact amount of pitches was as I'm working to pull up the play-by-play log right now. Daniel Lynch let the bases load up and nobody came home. And you thought to yourself, man, this is going to be that kind of a day, isn't it? Where Semien reached on an infield single. You're like, okay. Corey Seager struck out. More on him later. Nathaniel Lowe worked a walk. Garcia struck out. And then you got the 2-out walk from Jonah Heim where he really worked the count. A 9-pitch at-bat for Jonah just to get on base. And then 5 pitches later, Josh Smith grounded out. And you start to think at the back of your head, well, based off the way the Rangers have played some games this year, this felt like one of those games where it was going to be a real battle to score runs. And the Royals put the pressure on them immediately. Bobby Witt Jr. tripled to center field, a ball just out of reach of Leody Taveras. You could judge Leody's route however you wish. There was a slight late jump, but it was still a well-hit ball by Bobby Witt Jr. And then Vinny Pasquantino sac flied him in. And next thing you know, the pressure's on the Rangers to respond. And they did not respond until the late innings, until the bullpen came around. It wasn't until the 8th inning that Corey Seager was able to sacrifice fly on Leody Taveras, who led off the inning with a double, got to third on a ground out. So it was a little station-to-station baseball, but Leody Taveras, if not for his double, maybe we're talking about something else. And then in the top of the 9th, second batter up, Jonah Heim hit the first home run for the Rangers in 5 games. And you think to yourself, wait a minute, have they really not hit a home run in 5 games? Yes. As a matter of fact, they have not hit a home run in 5 games. Not since the Cincinnati series had they hit a home run. As a matter of fact, I think the last home run that they hit was Wyatt Langford's inside the Parker. I could be wrong on that. I'm just working off of memory. But first home run in 5 games, and man, was it huge. And man, has Jonah time and time again proven to be that late game clutch hitter. I mean, think back to his walk-off against the Cubs. Think back to earlier in the year, I Bleav it was against the Mariners. Jonah just has a knack for this stuff where he's put in a position where the team is down or the team is tied, and he's the man at the plate. You never necessarily expect him to deliver, but he's a good enough hitter. He's an all-star, and he delivers seemingly time and time again. Where would this offense be without Jonah Heim? Thank goodness he's still healthy, as I karma kept myself so as not to jinx anything. But thank goodness he's healthy, because his bat in the order actually provides some versatility, and he's very much a late game player. which is important to have, given how much of a struggle bus it has been for the Rangers to score early and often in this one. So that one wrapped up in 10 innings, a 3-2 win. I want to stick with stuff that we liked, and I wonder about a hypothetical, maybe a hypothetical, but I did some miniature research on this, just kind of like scouring some base statistics on relievers. But this duo of Kirby Yates and Dave Robertson, Kirby Yates got the win today. He threw 2 innings, struck out 2 on 27 pitches. I Bleav he allowed 1 walk. Yes, 1 walk. So some minor danger, but he was still able to work his way out of it. He looked great today. David Robertson came into the 10th for the save. Took him just 9 pitches, and he got a strikeout. Efficient work from those two. The stat, courtesy of Jared Sandler, who works with the broadcast team. The duo of David Robertson and Kirby Yates have a combined .57 ERA. Kirby Yates still has a 0 ERA, by the way. A .69 whip in 31 2/3 innings with 37 strikeouts, 10 walks allowed. Opposing hitters are hitting 112, getting on base 195, and slugging 150, which equates to an OPS of 344. Talk about a dynamic duo to have at the back end of your bullpen, which works out really well when Jon Gray pitched as well as he did today and threw 7 awesome innings of baseball. Good to see Jon Gray bouncing back the way he is. More on him in just a second, because I want to stick with the relievers. When I was trying to think about who's got a good duo, who's like got that perfect 1-2 tandem at the back end of their bullpen that really makes you, once you get to that point in the game, it's over. Like if you recall the 2015 Royals or the 2014 Royals even, they had that 3-headed monster at the back end of their bullpen with Wade Davis, Kelvin Herrera, and Greg Holland. And then in the 15 run, it was just basically Kelvin Herrera and Greg Holland or Wade Davis. And you knew if you were an opposing team, once you got to that point, you were in trouble because nothing was getting past them. I think the Rangers have something similar. Do they have the best version of it in 2024? And doing a basic look at some statistics and just casual assumptions about certain roles that guys serve in the league, I picked out 3 other duos based on how this year has gone. One of them with a caveat because Yohan Duran was hurt for most of the year, but he's already come back and he's just tossed 3 saves and 3 scoreless outings. So the other duos that I picked out, with Minnesota, they have Griffin Jackson and Yohan Duran. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. The Oakland A's, who are on deck, by the way, and are actually playing very, very good baseball right now. Lucas Erceg and Mason Miller. And I tell you what, Mason Miller he's blowing hitters away, literally touching 103. I know the Rangers have already seen it earlier this year, but man, that dude throws hard. I can't Bleav he used to be a starter because he looks awesome as a closer. And then the other one I picked out, and this one's kind of suspect. You could go either way. Scott Barlow and Emmanuel Clase with Cleveland. We know how good of a closer Clase is. Scott Barlow used to be the closer of the Royals, and he's basically serving in a setup role for Clase, who continues to be the dominant lights out closer that he is. I don't know. I would have to take Robertson and Yates based off of just what's been done this year. I know Griffin Jackson, Yohan Duran are making a very, very good case for best 1-2 punch. I think things would be different if Baltimore had Felix Bautista this year and Yenier Cano was pitching to the level that he did last year as an all-star. But man, is it comforting to know that you've got at least 2 guys that you could go to at the back end of games in very, very close games and not have to worry about a thing. Now, the key to that is the starters have to pitch well too, and the rest of the bullpen has to hold their own. But case in point, I feel very confident about this duo in the back end of this bullpen. Chris Young, general manager, can we just give him the award now purely for these 2 moves? How are David Robertson and Kirby Yates available at the price they were? Look at what they're doing. We're a month plus in, and they have a combined, I'll say it again, a combined .57 ERA. They're allowing half a run every 9 innings. They're allowing almost half a base runner every inning. They're superb. It's great to see. We need a lot of bright spots right now with this Rangers team. we're going to keep that going. We're going to give some flowers to Jon Gray right now, who I'm not going to say he got robbed of a win, but he pitched well-deserved of a win. And if the score was a little bit different, or if the run distribution was a little bit different today, we're talking about a Jon Gray win. And maybe we're talking about a David Robertson hold and a Kirby Yates save, as opposed to a Yates win and a Robertson save. Jon Gray, 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned, 7 Ks, and the pitch count too. 99 pitches. And I'm wondering at what point do I walk back my theory that Jon Gray would be better in the team's bullpen, because his ERA is now down to 2.50. His ERA is down to 2.50. Jared Sandler, back to him again. He pointed this out. Sandler with the Rangers broadcast team. Jon Gray's first 4 outings this season, he's thrown 8 times in 8 games, I should say. 10 walks in the first 4 games he's pitched. 1 walk in the most recent 4, including today. Jon Gray's last 7 outings, so eliminating his first start, and this is all statistics that include his relief appearance in Atlanta. A 1.50 ERA in 36 innings pitched, 40 strikeouts, 8 walks, and opponents are slashing 207, 250, 319 with a 5.69 OPS. I think I'm ready to walk back my commentary about him being moved to the bullpen, because he is now excelling as a starter. And he's pitching to the level that the Rangers were hopeful when they paid him a few years ago, brought him in to be one of the first of many new faces to this Rangers rotation. And there's an extra emphasis on the success of the rotation right now with the news of Nathan Eovaldi from a couple days ago, him being placed on the injured list. And Jon Gray basically, very much, I should say, stepped up to the call. The triple, as we discussed, it was a ball that was within Tavares' range in center. I'm not going to get too judgmental over it. And then the other instance was a few ground ball, not like soft contact that is just out of reach, or barely off the bat contact that led to the other run scoring, the Melendez double, I believe. And it just seems like he's got everything back in motion right now. Maybe it's too soon to say. The Royals are very frisky to start the year. They're an above 500 team. They are in the second season with their manager. They made a bunch of offseason moves that have better supplemented their current roster. I mean, they're 20-15 even with today's loss. Like, they're doing things very, very well this year. They are a very sneaky, watch out because they could make the playoffs kind of team. And especially in a central division that doesn't really have a lot of takers outside of Cleveland, or at least the way things are going right now. There's 4 teams above 500 and the Chicago White Sox. So good to get out of there with 2 wins. Of course, the lopsided win came on Saturday, a 15-4 beatdown, which featured a Nathaniel Lowe 4-for-6 affair where he drove into and scored twice. Almost everybody got in on the action. Even Corey Seager got a hit. As a matter of fact, he's on a 3-game hitting streak after today. That little squibber that got away from the first baseman, and that resulted in a hit. So Corey Seager's got a 3-game hitting streak going. It's still not been a great start to the year for Corey. And that's what we're going to touch on next. So on the season, Corey's hitting .222. He has 2 homers, 10 driven in, and just a 584 OPS. Now, maybe it's harsh. He is on a 3-game hitting streak, as I mentioned. But he's 5 for his last 30. He's 8 for his last 58. It's just not the production that we would normally expect out of Corey. We talked about it a few podcasts ago. Should we be concerned? Then I wasn't as concerned as I am now. He struck out 3 times today. He just doesn't look comfortable up there. I really don't know what else to think about how Corey's struggles are being handled, aside from the fact that he was injured to start the year and missed most of spring training. He was just coming off another long postseason run where he was the World Series MVP. Should we be freaking out about this the way that we are? I don't know. He was a monster for all of last regular season. This regular season, he's like it turns out the monster in the closet was actually a sweater the whole time. That's what it feels like right now. Do I believe that he's going to get back to form? Sure, absolutely, because he's proven that he can get back to form. But we're not seeing it right now. And as long as they utilize the off days as best as they can to truly get Corey back into full health, maybe he'll start to get back in the swing of things. If you remember, Trey Turner with the Phillies last year started off horribly, literally horribly. It took until August for him to truly turn things around and look like Trey Turner again. Maybe we just have to be super duper patient with Corey this go around. And we should be, because the Rangers are coming off a World Series win, and Corey Seager was one of the biggest reasons as to why they're World Series champions, reigning. So looking now, I should say, at injuries. I mentioned briefly the Nate Eovaldi injury. So on Friday, I believe it was, Nate Eovaldi was placed on the injured list. As of today, the latest update that we got today from Jackson Stone with MLB.com, Nate Eovaldi is headed to New York to see a specialist for his groin injury. He will rejoin the team in Oakland afterwards. So go get the groin evaluated, see how severe it is. He's on the 15-day injured list, so he's not coming back for 15 days. Maybe he misses only the 2, maybe 3 starts. It's yet to be seen. But it's just another one after another one after another one. The latest today, I might as well play
Wyatt Watch.
Wyatt was placed on the injured list today with a hamstring strain, which, as Bruce Bochy said after the game, was slightly more severe than a grade 1 hamstring strain, and he's going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks. Just another one. It's like DJ Khaled handing out injuries. Another one. And another one. Or it's Oprah. You get an injury, and you get an injury, and you get an injury. So what does this mean? Well, it means obviously the Rangers lineup was able to manage today. As far as positioning goes, they had Evan Carter in left field, Leody Taveras in center. They had Ezekiel Duran at third base. Josh Smith was the shortstop, and Corey Seager was the DH for today. So they could continue to utilize a lineup that looks like that. And if you're thinking it's going to be another top prospect on their way, then I maybe have some good news for you. At least something to keep an eye on. I believe it was Adam J. Morris, who many of you are familiar with. Adam, of course, writes for Lone Star Ball. He mentions that neither Sam Huff or Dustin Harris are in the starting lineup for Round Rock tonight. Now, of course, Sam is another catcher, and you have 2 catchers with Heim and Kistner. But look, if you want the best hitter up, you just got to call up the best hitter. And if Sam Huff is going to be the guy, you might as well call up Sam Huff. Whereas Dustin Harris, on the other hand, he at least gives you some positional flexibility with, the rest of the roster. Whereas catcher, it's very hard to just throw a catcher anywhere else other than first base. Dustin Harris will at least give you the flexibility to give Evan Carter a day off, or Leody Taveras a day off, or even Adolis Garcia a day off, however you want to flex it. That's not to say Sam can't play anywhere other than catcher. I'm sure he could play, say, first base if they asked him to. But if it's going to be somebody called up to replace Wyatt, it's probably going to be one of those 2. We'll have to wait and see. But as it stands right now, Wyatt Langford also on the injured list. He's going to be out for at least 3 to 4 weeks. Hopefully not longer. Hamstring strain, something severe, more severe, I should say, than a grade 1, it sounds like, per Bruce Bochy. One other injury update I want to get to. Max Scherzer, who is working his way back from a back injury, but was supposed to pitch in Corpus Christi on Tuesday, and his rehab start got scratched due to a right thumb injury, soreness, he says. And as a result, the Rangers are kind of in a holding pattern when it comes to putting Max Scherzer back on the mound. I believe he is back with the team right now, so he won't have a rehab assignment, at least till further notice. Manager Bruce Bochy said that the thumb is improving every day, but Scherzer's not yet at the point where he can play catch. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, that kind of makes things difficult. You can't really pitch if you can't also catch the ball on the retrieval. It really doesn't help that Nathan Eovaldi got hurt, but we know that there's plenty of talent behind, and there's some guys coming back from injury along the way. Like, as we mentioned, Cody Bradford will be back probably next month. Max Scherzer, hopefully sooner in the next couple of weeks. Jack Leiter is likely going to be the one in waiting, given that he pitched only a couple of days ago, and it would perfectly align with his rotation schedule. I know Andrew Heaney is pitching tomorrow. So it seems like we're in a situation where we could see a few new faces, or maybe some bullpen outings for the most part. Jose Urena has starters experience, right? They could start with Jonathan Hernandez, who's now been available. Josh Spores could certainly be an opener for them, right? Like, I'm just proposing ideas. I'm not necessarily advocating for these things, but if they need options, they've got options. It's going to be Andrew Heaney tomorrow. Tuesday's a TBD. Wednesday, they have a traditional doubleheader. Game 1 is going to be pitched by Michael Lorenzen, and Game 2 is a TBD. So instead of 3 slots, or instead of just 1 slot to fill, now you have 2 slots because you have to replace Nathan Eovaldi's spot in the rotation. And there was an expectation that, or at least rumblings through a bunch of the other beat writers for Texas, that Jack Leiter was going to be the one to get a call up. And he's already been called up before, so there should be nothing new. Dane Dunning, of course, will get another go. I'm sure in this Oakland series, whether they want him to pitch on short rest or whether they want him to pitch on the doubleheader. I imagine it's going to be on the doubleheader to keep him in rotation. So my expectation is that Jack Leiter will be the one to pitch on Tuesday, because then that goes with his 5-day rest schedule. And then on Wednesday, we'll see the double duo of Michael Lorenzen and then Dane Dunning. That's my expectation. Don't hold my word to it. I don't get to be around the team as much as a lot of these other very talented writers, but that seems to be the most logical way to approach things. So let's get right into it. Let's take a look at that Oakland Athletics baseball team, and far more athletic than we would have thought, given all of the negative connotation around the Athletics in recent years. Of course, they're going through a messy divorce with the city of Oakland. That's no surprise to anybody who's been paying attention to what the A's have been going through for the last couple of years. They just took 2 out of 3 against the Marlins at home, punctuated with a 20-4 victory on Saturday, and then they lost 12-3 today to Miami. So I'm not going to say you can overlook the A's. Remember, this is a team that took 2 out of 3 from Texas in their home ballpark. So if anything, get your revenge, because you got 4 games to do it. And I can't emphasize enough, these divisional games matter a ton, more so because there's less and less of them as a result of the altered schedule. And right now, for those of you scoreboard watching, the Rangers are a half game back of Seattle for first place. Seattle's 19-15, the Rangers 19-16. Oakland is 17-18, and then Houston and the Angels are tied at 12-22 at the bottom of the division. But it's still the tortoise will win the race kind of thing. I know people are amped up about trying to advance and stay in first place for a long time. Well, this is a way to do it. Beat your division rival. You've got 4 chances to beat your division rival soundly, so you might as well give it your best shot. To reiterate again, Monday, it'll be Andrew Heaney against Alex Wood. Andrew Heaney coming off of an excellent start at home against the Reds, where he didn't get the run support necessary, unfortunately, to get a win. And then Alex Wood for Oakland, 1-2, a 6.32 ERA on the year for the left-hander. Tuesday's TBD, my guess, emphasis on guess, is that it would be Jack Leiter being called up to fill that spot against Ross Stripling, 1-5, a 4.24 ERA. Don't know who either of the starters are going to be for Game 2 on Wednesday, but Game 3 is going to see left-hander JP Sears, 2-2 with a 3.89 ERA, against Michael Lorenzen with a 2.1352 ERA. Michael had another good outing on Friday, another quality start outing, but it got away from the Rangers late. The Royals capitalized on them on Friday, on the bullpen, I should say. But that's going to do it for this edition of Bleav in Texas Rangers. Remember, if you liked what you heard, liked what you saw, be sure to subscribe, rate, download, tell your friends about Bleav in Texas Rangers. Just another place for you to get all of your Texas Rangers content. From here, it's bite-sized multiple times during the week. We give you the best coverage that we can. So until next time, Bleav in Texas Rangers.